red to go forwards, backwards is blue, and we have a new Tenet fan theory for you. Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka the Antagonist when it comes to spoiler-free videos, and this time we're breaking down a theory that says Sator was actually working for the protagonist the entire film. Before we get into it, I just want to shout out Trust Nobody for sending me this through, and when I first started reading it, I was a bit unsure. However, the further I got into the entire thing, the more it started to line up. I've added some things I've noticed after reading it, and I think there's a lot of hints towards this being the case. Now, the entire theory centers around the idea that Sator was unwittingly recruited by the future protagonist to collect all 9 pieces of the algorithm so that his past self could steal them in the finale. As we learned at the end of the movie, the plan the entire time was to let Sator collect the MacGuffin so that the Tenet team could swipe it from under his nose, and they then could separate it and guard it for the rest of their lives. They would allow a detonation to go off at Stealth 12, so it would seem to the past version of Sator that he was always destined to win, and therefore events would play out the same. Sator was actually someone who thought that he was destined to beat everybody because of his knowledge of the future, and he used temporal pincers at several points to make sure he always achieved his goals. Thus, this detonation tricked his past self into believing that the algorithm was buried, and in his mind, the character would emerge victorious because fate determined it. However, it could be that he was just being manipulated by the protagonist from the future, and all that he was in the end was a pawn in the chess game. Now, in the conversation with Priya, we learn of a scientist in the future that created the algorithm. We discover that, after realizing its power, she inverted it and decided to bury it and send it to the past so that it could never be used. What's strange though is that when Sator digs up the pieces, he discovers messages in the time capsules along with gold bars. I have no idea why the scientist would send these pieces back to the past to be dug up by someone that would actually assemble them, as it seems to juxtapose her main goal, which is to hide everything. Thus, someone clearly intervened, and it could be that the protagonist potentially intercepted these and placed the instructions inside that would lead to Sator finding the rest so that it could be assembled. Now, the pieces of the algorithm are buried at some of the most highly guarded places in the world, so it seems unlikely that one scientist could have placed them all there, especially when we consider the time it would have taken. Thus, it seems more likely that the protagonist took the pieces and placed them with instructions so that Sator would act the way he did in the past. The protagonist is obviously operating from the future, and he wants things to go exactly as planned, so it's unlikely he would leave anything to chance. Nolan gives us strong hints towards this and who Sator's orders are coming from, as the protagonist is actually present during the 2 times in the film that we see him getting them. Now, the first point is when the villain is on the yacht reminiscing about his past, and though the protagonist wasn't present at Stealth 12, this scene could be Sator telling his past self so that his future version knows to leave a capsule at the location. The second time we see him receiving his orders is later that evening, and I do think this is a hint from Nolan, as there are no other scenes with Sator receiving orders. Sator at one point mocks the protagonist for following the Tenet organization purely on blind faith because he trusts them without actually knowing a thing about it or the people within. However, in many respects, Sator is too operating on blind faith, as he tells the protagonist that the future wants to wipe out the past because their oceans rose and their rivers ran dry. There is no way for the character to verify this, and he's merely operating on the word of the future. The protagonist even says the line, "Knowledge divided, my friend. Ignorance is our ammunition," which is pretty much the mantra of Tenet. Keeping the truth from people allows them to follow orders without asking questions, and this is a principle that's laced in military preparation. This is why Priya's story doesn't line up, and the protagonist clearly doesn't mind using her either, as he's happy to kill her in the finale. Now, despite being inverted and sent back in time, the pieces of the algorithm that we see never display any inverted properties. They don't fly up into people's hands like the bullet, and they all seem to contradict what we're told. Now, the theory goes on to wonder why the US military might be so incompetent as to lose their piece to Sator, who in comparison is just a mere thug. It could in fact be that all 9 pieces are Russian, and that it's merely some type of secret atomic weapon developed by the Soviets. When discussing why Sator was chosen, Priya says because he was in the right place at the right time, namely the Soviet Union, which was the most insecure moment in the history of nuclear weapons. Thus, the protagonist is actually waging a Cold War in the future against them, and is simply using Sator as a puppet in the past to make sure the US win. Now, one of the most shocking points in the theory asks why the future protagonist still sent Neil to his death. It could be that he viewed him as an expendable soldier, and that because he didn't stick to his orders that the protagonist had him taken down. Ives tells the red team that the splinter team's task is need to know, and you don't, and then tells the protagonist that the splinter team is just Ives in himself. He even says no one who knows the contents of that capsule can leave the field. That's why Neil was killed, because he saw the contents of the capsule when he pulled Ives and the protagonist out. Neil was on the blue team, he was not supposed to assist the splinter team, and therefore he disobeyed his orders. We know Neil is not supposed to be there because Commander Wheeler tells the blue team, if you're not at the LZ at 0, you are not leaving. The camera even focuses on Neil during this, as if Nolan is hinting at Neil's disobedience and death. I've selected only the protagonist and himself for the splinter team because that's what the future protagonist told him to do. Ives has no reason to select him to be on such an important team unless he was informed by the future version of the character that he was integral to the mission. Neil even tells us that this entire operation is orchestrated by the protagonist from the future, so we know that everything carried out by it is put in place by him. Now, if this theory is true, then that means Neil will not have been killed by accident, as when Sator tells Volkov to shoot the protagonist in the head, Sator is merely following the future protagonist's orders. At this exact moment, Neil was shot in the head, and it seems too big of a coincidence to not have been meant to happen there and then. Ives was still knocked out at this point, so he wouldn't know exactly when the shot that killed Neil happened, and therefore the protagonist is the only living person at this event that had the information. Nolan even hints that it's the protagonist who has Neil killed by one of the scenes early on in the movie.
I'll set you up as a go-between, but remember, to you, it's all about plutonium. And when we're done, they'll kill you.
Why do you have to do that anyway?
I'd rather be my decision.
So would I.
And when we're done, they'll kill you.
Why do you have to do that anyway?
I'd rather be my decision.
So would I.
So this is hinting to the audience that it was the protagonist's decision to kill Neil, and he decided that from the future. However, the way that we see it is that Sator asks Volkov to shoot the protagonist in the head, but as we know, Neil was standing in front of him in order to take the bullet. Neil saves the protagonist's life at the opera, tries to warn him and Ives of the booby trap in the tunnel, saves them from the explosion by lifting them from the hypocenter, and unlocks the gate to Volkov and the area. It's Neil who saves the day, and yet he's killed for it. Now, the theory takes a very interesting turn and states that Neil is the characteristic gullible and expendable soldier. Even though he knows he's going to die in the end, he's happy following orders because he's resigned himself to the fact that he doesn't have free will. It's very well summed up by lines from the character Dylan in the Predator movie at the half-hour mark.
You're an asset. An expendable asset. And I used you to get the job done. Got it?
Neil was used to get the job done, and then he was taken care of. Dylan even lies to Dutch about the true nature of the mission, as Dutch says,
It's all bullshit! So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder.
So in the end, the protagonist from the future, an almost godlike character, was simply using everyone as a pawn to make sure the events happened the way they were supposed to. This happened with not only Sator, but also Neil, who he knew he was sending to his death. He viewed everyone as expendable, including Priya, and knew that their sacrifices would have to be made in order to save the world. It's quite a chilling theory, but I think it adds a whole nother layer to the movie, and next time you watch the film, try to bear this in mind, as I definitely think it holds up. What I love about Tenet is that it completely switches your perspective, and it's a film that changes every time you watch it, so hopefully this has given you another reason to check it out. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, and again, huge shout outs to Trust Nobody. Now don't forget that on the 30th of December, we're giving away 3 copies of the Lord of the Rings 4K box set to our subscribers. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the theory. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown in which we answer some of the biggest questions surrounding the movie, and I think you'll really enjoy it as we kind of clear a lot of things up. Anyway, with that out of the way, thank you for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.